We are back on the heels of a major recruiting victory. I'm Keegan, my co-host is Chito. It's almost Super Bowl Sunday, and the countdown to Georgia football in the spring is upon us. So with that being said, let's get it.
I do it for the dogs. Do it for the dogs.
Chito, my dude, how are you feeling? And leaning into the Super Bowl Sunday coming up, are there any dishes in the Chito household, or are there any Super Bowl dishes that you're looking forward to making, eating, grubbing on? Like, where's your heart set there, and how are you feeling this fine afternoon?
Bro, I've been thinking about some buffalo dip all week, but it still remains to be seen where I'm going to watch the Super Bowl at. If I'm here, I'm gonna have what I want. But if I end up with the old lady, it might be more of a vegetarian type of vibe. So we'll see how that goes. But excited for the Super Bowl nonetheless. We got the Patriots, who ran through the AFC in what was a weird year over there. We got the Seahawks in the NFC. Keegan could be more excited. We've got that. We've got a 5-star commitment for the University of Georgia. And as we sit here now, the NBA trade deadline is officially over. It's done. Wasn't a whole lot of fireworks this year. It looked more like moves getting ready for the offseason. So we got a lot to talk about today.
Oh, yeah. So on that note, you mentioned the 5-star running back recruit that Georgia just landed. That is it Kemon? Kemon? Is that how you say it?
I'm going to say Kemon for now.
We're going with Kemon on the pronunciation, but Kemon Spell, 5'9", straight out of Pennsylvania. I watched a clip from a podcast on YouTube. A local Pittsburgh football dude was saying he thinks he's the best running back to come out of Pittsburgh specifically in the last 20 years. Watching the tape is highly entertaining. Georgia got a big-time back in Kemon Spell. Chito, you played the running back position. I would consider Kemon Spell special in not just in the written down recruiting breakdown, but just what I see on film looks special. But what separates a good back from a special back, in your opinion?
Yeah, so there are two things. Clearly, this guy's really good, but you've got to be careful in how you evaluate running backs. You look for a couple of things, but then you also have to add the context. If a running back's dominating in high caliber Georgia football, or in Florida or California or Texas, you can pretty much assure that they're going to translate to the next level. Pennsylvania's really good. It's not the cream of the crop, but we've seen running backs, DeAndre Swift as of late from Georgia, come here and dominate. But watching this guy's film, he's really well-rounded, and those are the types of running backs that you like. He's got good vision. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He breaks tackles extremely well. And then he has that breakaway, home run, every time he touches the ball type of speed. And that is hard to deal with at every single level. So good size. So we haven't had a running back of this caliber, especially from the recruiting ranks, since Zamir White. And Zamir White was dominant out of high school, right? And that's been some time. So really excited about this guy. It is kind of weird now in this new landscape that you can't really feel safe with a great recruit like this until like they signed on the dotted line. But it's good momentum for Georgia, and I think this guy's going to be pretty special for sure if you watch the film.
Yeah, and he was one of the guys that decommitted from Penn State following the firing of James Franklin. So maybe he's looking for some more stability. You figure Kirby's going to be there. The Atlanta Falcons already got their coach. So, hey, we're sitting steady Eddie here at Georgia. But, yeah, Kemon Spell, he's got this, like, Houdini factor when he's breaking tackles. He's only 5'9", but 5'9", 205. He's built with quite a trunk, got some explosive ability there. You can see how he gets the burst.
Gravity.
Yeah, great balance too. So that's the kind of stuff I'm seeing on film. But I was looking for a comp, and I'm like, who does this guy remind me of? Like, smaller, like you said, dangerous, can score just about any play, can catch the ball well, and can run over dudes. Like, there's only a few people that really did that exactly at a high level in my most recent memory. And I'm going through like the smaller running backs. I'm like, Warwick Dunn, like, nah, he's not as shifty, and Warwick wasn't as physical. And I'm thinking like DeAndre Swift, but even this guy seems to have elite route running now out of high school. So I even put that above DeAndre, which they are similar, so there's a lot of comparisons beside the Pennsylvania thing. But then I thought of it, CJ Spiller from Clemson. That 2009 year, for those who remember, was like an all-time running back year. And CJ Spiller was a deep vertical threat. He was returning kickoffs. He was touching the ball 10 ways to Sunday. You could send him between the tackles. He had the burst for the outside edge as well. So this is just a well-rounded player. You can play in a lot of ways. And the interesting thing that you get from smaller running backs is the ability to get like extra yardage just from the ability to fit in the crevices and whatnot. Like just the extra pedal, keeping your feet moving. So there's a lot you like about Kemon Spell, but 5-star running back, number 1 running back in the country, number 3 player overall, I think even more importantly, and by all accounts, a stand-up dude. So I think we got a great running back and just sets the tone for what we need, because I know I'm not the only one that considers Georgia RBU, but to be RBU, you have to continue to have legendary backs, and I think we have a great backfield right now. I think that Bo Walker in the fold could do some amazing things. I think
Jay Lamar. We are going to have some depth there, even though we lost some guys this year and some explosive guys. So it's really nice to see us kind of get back. I feel like we know, and I mean this as most respectful as I can, I feel like the caliber of running back hasn't. Nate Frazier's had a good season, but like even him and then the year before with the guy from Florida, none of them have been that dominant running back. You know what I mean? So I feel like we've kind of taken a couple years off of that super dominant running back for a little bit. And I think these two types of running backs, Jay Lamar especially, he may not be as highly touted, but he's going to be special. And then also this new commit, Kemon Spell, because as much as I love Dwight Phillips and Chauncey Bowens, those guys are still kind of learning how to play the running back position at an elite level. Those two guys kind of got it. You know what I mean? They've kind of got it naturally, the same way Sony Michel and Nick Chubb have when they got here. So it'll be nice to kind of get back to a little bit of a star in the backfield.
Yeah, and I think it's like there's a lot of good backs out there. There's even less great backs. But the star player, game breaker, do-it-all running back that you are just scared to see it every play, there's really only so many every year, maybe like 3 to 5 like that are at that level where Todd Gurley was in his prime, where you could just feed him and he would take over games. Like the ability to take over games as a running back, it requires a good running offense in general. You got to have the offensive line to do it, the schematics, but there's only so few running backs that are just at that special clip. I think this 5-star ranking beside Kemon Spell's name is not just hearsay. I think he's a special back, and hey, we'll see what happens. But there was some other big-time locker room news in Athens.
Yeah. The outside linebacker coach, Kadira Uzo-Duribe, has officially taken a job with the Dallas Cowboys in somewhat of the same capacity. So now that position's open, Georgia is going to be looking to bring in an outside linebacker coach. And my hope, Keegan, I don't know about you, we've been solid at the position as far as setting the edge, but we talked in the last podcast about the sexy positions for Georgia: quarterback, wide receiver, edge rusher. Whoever it is we bring in, I want somebody who can help this team up those sack numbers, up that havoc that we used to talk about. A lot of people want to see Jarvis Jones come back. He left a couple years ago and went and won a state title in Georgia at his high school, Carver High. Some people would love to have him back. I don't know how realistic that is or not. Christian Robinson's a name that's been thrown out there, UGA alum. He's been a coach at Alabama for a few seasons now. And then a couple other names I'm less familiar with: Brian Early, Nick Williams, Cole Holzer. So I'm not familiar with a lot of these names, but I just want somebody who can get the best out of the talent that we have in that room right now. I don't want to see the Elo Mendoza type projects happen again. Sometimes they hit, didn't this year. We just need somebody who's going to prove to help our guys get the opposing quarterback on the ground, 3rd and long, pass rush situations.
Yeah, and that's where I totally will defer to Kirby to make the right judgment there, because I don't necessarily know who within those guys, they all sound great here on this podcast right now, but who actually knows their X's and O's, knows the skill movements that really need to be dialed in at like a black belt level to have that consistent elite status when it comes to edge rushing. And that I couldn't tell you, but Jarvis Jones has been there. And there's a lot of different ways and styles to get sacks, but Jarvis Jones, of all people, knows how to do it. There was a game where we drove up to Missouri back in the day. It was, I think, the first SEC game between Georgia and Missouri. And Jarvis Jones took over and damn near saved us. I remember sitting right behind his family in the stands, and they were just so proud, ecstatic, because he was, pivotal in certain moments. But I think if it was just that, it would be more of a stretch, but he's a familiar face within the staff at Georgia. And the fact that he led Carver High School, who wasn't necessarily doing that great before Jarvis Jones came through, his alma mater, getting a state championship in the very first year is a big resume plus for leadership qualities, and just really shows a maturation from him and just like the trajectory of his career. He might want to stay at Carver High because of that, but in a way, he kind of went the LeBron route, got Cleveland a title, so to speak. So maybe he wants to go to UGA and keep elevating his career. But Chito, let me ask you, what's more of an impressive resume? Being at Alabama for a few years as a certified assistant like C-Rob, and by all accounts, that dude is a stand-up guy. I kind of remember him being around on campus, so he's a solid guy. Or doing what Jarvis Jones did at the high school ranks, but leading a team to a state title. What is like more of an impressive resume stat if you're playing internal athletics recruiter right now at the university office?
I don't know what's more impressive, but if you're going to ask me would I rather be Jarvis Jones or Christian Robinson, I'll be Jarvis. Jarvis was an elite player and a champion at the high school level. I'm not sure of all Christian Robinson's accolades. He was a good player here, not elite. I'm not sure what he's been credited for since he's been at Alabama. So both guys are doing fine. But if you're going to ask me to pick, I'll go with JJ. And I think Kirby's been known to lean on the comfort side. So if he were to choose, he's going to bring in JJ first, right? Somebody who's done it, somebody who's been on the staff, somebody who knows his way of doing things. So it'll depend on what JJ's looking for, what Kirby's looking for, and we'll see. My only requisite is somebody that knows how to get the job done, because that is a position Georgia has not been as good as I feel like we should be in that area. So that's what I'm looking for. So time will tell.
Yeah, and I like having, I guess you don't want to force it, but it's kind of nice having alumni when they're at an elite clip. So that to me is really cool. And because he was just coaching at the high school level, surely he's got his ear to the ground and knows the talent landscape of recruiting right now currently in the state. And I think that's a big plus. So just something to consider. And we'll definitely talk about it when they do finally hire someone, but they have a ton of talent, and anybody can get the most out of the talent in that room. All these 5 stars in the front 7. I mean, it's going to be a big time hire, and it could be something we're talking about for the rest of the season, hopefully in a good way.
Yeah, we'll take a quick detour from football, and we'll wrap up with the Super Bowl and maybe some other news. But since it is the day of the NBA trade deadline, I figured that we hop on that for just a minute, because Keegan, you're Atlanta Hawks, and I won't say my Los Angeles Lakers, but I'm a LeBron fan, and he plays for the Lakers now. And I'm actually going to go see the Lakers in LA this month. So I was really kind of curious to see what the moves were going to be made. So the big fish in this deadline was Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he was staying in Milwaukee. Everyone was kind of waiting. So this was kind of a dead trade deadline, but the Los Angeles Lakers did manage to swap Gabe Vincent, sent to Atlanta, for Luke Kennard, who's been one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA, and a second-round pick. So LA and Atlanta doing a deal. So that was kind of good to see. I'm not sure either team got better off of that deal, but hey, better than nothing, right?
Yeah, I guess. So the big move for Atlanta was trading Porzingis. And to me, I like Porzingis as a player a lot, but Atlanta clearly was headed in a different direction. The Porzingis-Trae Young collaboration never really panned out. Trae Young was hurt for a period of time. Porzingis has been sick off and on, so they never really got to see them on the court. And what they did see was all these defensive-minded and young players for the Hawks actually doing really well and surprising the league. With that, I think the writing was on the wall with Trae Young. Like, I love Trae Young as a player, but it just wasn't the fit of the team.
Fit.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, you mentioned Giannis. The Warriors have been trying to get Giannis this whole time, and this has been like the big talk. That didn't fall through, and they're like, look, we need some help. If we're not getting kind of like an all-around guy. Let's just add some offense. They've liked Porzingis for years, so it made sense for them. And then in the meantime, the Hawks pick up Kuminga, which he's still young. He's only 23.
Very young.
He's done pretty well. He's not
Jalen
quite
Johnson, Dyson Daniels, Asa Newell. That's not bad. It's a lot of two-way guys that the league is looking for.
I'm pretty sure they traded Asa Newell, I want to say. I think Asa Newell's out of there.
He got traded?
I think so.
He's pretty young, so I didn't know if he got traded. And then you mentioned Trae Young. Trae Young and AD both end up in Washington, D.C. I don't know how that's going to look. Not the most exciting, but the league does look a little bit different now than it did an hour ago. And as far as Luke Kennard, he's actually shooting a career best 49.7% from three-point range. So that gives Luka Doncic, LeBron James, another weapon on the perimeter. So a lot of people believe that the Lakers still need some perimeter defense, but Luke Kennard is a sniper, a sharpshooter that should at least help this already kind of buzzing offense. So worst case scenario, they will stay where they're at as far as playoff contention. And I think the Hawks are actually building for the future now with real direction. No disrespect against Trae Young, but he just undersized guard play. It's really hard to do it. So it's better to move off of him now than never. So
yeah, and I think Buddy Hield coming in from the Kuminga trade too, he's like a solid player, but he's not going to be the big time contributor. And everyone else they got in is more or less just like a cap room move. So it might be some depth, maybe something turns out there, but it's just cap room move. But I didn't necessarily it's good for y'all. And if the Lakers want to go straight up offense, kind of like the Warriors are doing a little bit, just leaning into that, then it makes sense because Luke Kennard has been on a tear. We haven't had a solid volume shooter like this in Atlanta since
Kyle Korver,
Gallinari, and then before that, you got to go back to Kyle Korver. So
fair enough. Lakers have needed that as well. We're super streaky from the perimeter from three. Even Dalton Connect, the guy from Tennessee, you may remember, it just hasn't really clicked. But Luke Kennard out there with Luka and LeBron getting passes, his average might go up on the season for a career best, mind you. So that's
dangerous.
Yeah,
that could be a big.
And also, if I could get this out, because I felt like a lot of people, Miami was supposed to get Giannis, Golden State, but the packages for Giannis weren't really good. Now, moving into the summer, at the trade deadline, the Lakers really didn't have a package to offer. But come the summer, the Lakers will have 3 first-round picks to offer. LeBron James will probably be off the books, or at least he won't be making $50 million. So that's $50 million plus cap space for a player like Giannis. You've got expiring contracts. You have Austin Reeves, a contract. You can sign and trade a player like that. Now imagine Luka Doncic and Giannis
I know. I just say Giannis, bro.
Imagine Luka and Giannis in LA. That would be Magic Kareem 2.0. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it does, you heard it here first. So just think of it that way. The NBA is a product of entertainment. And if LeBron's going to hang it up, what's the best way to get LA right back on the map? Throw Giannis in that mug. So we'll see. Well, it's going to be an interesting summer.
It's just many different ways to cut the onion. And like Atlanta's going so defensive heavy. Kuminga, the last 11 games is averaging 1.5 steals a game. So you add that to what they're already doing, this is going to be a crazy annoying team to play against in 2K, if nothing else. But that's a really solid defense. I like that.
For sure.
But the biggest news for Georgia fans was the announcement of, I guess it's debatable what the biggest news for Georgia fans was, but some very big news and just a turn in the revolution of the sport, just kind of showcasing where Georgia's going. The Classic City Collective shut down last year. That didn't really pan out exactly as far as being revolutionary, but what they're trying to do now is this Glory Glory NIL Collective that really is just a fan-accessed membership, a way to support with various levels. They got red, black, and silver. I think it's $20, in between 20 and 100, and then $150 for I think the silver membership. And each membership has basically behind the scenes access for the fans. So for I know the first, for the lowest tier, it's basically all digital with some practice viewing and things like that. Maybe a couple of opportunities to show up and go to a practice in person. And basically, the higher level membership, the more like boots on the ground you can get, behind the scenes you can get. So I think it's pretty cool for fans to be able to have that opportunity, and it gives something for the fans. It's an obvious direct way to support the team beyond just buying merch and things of that nature. So I think time will only tell how good this is for the fans. I know in some sense it's like, do you really care about what you get value-wise if you're able to support the team? I understand it from that angle. But in this economy, I guess you do want it to be worthwhile if you're paying $20 to $150 a month or doing the annuals, either way. But Chito, what were your initial thoughts just on what you heard? And did you have any kind of like guttural or intellectual reaction to the Glory Glory NIL Collective that just got announced February 4th?
Yeah, no visceral reaction, but it does seem pretty apparent that Georgia is trying to stay competitive in this space, right? This is another way that fans can have their own direct access to the team. And we're both fans of the team. We have a podcast, but this will kind of allow fans to kind of, for better or for worse, to kind of bypass some of this type of stuff. They can go get their information direct. They can be looking in on practices. And you and I both know people that are very linked or very locked in with UGA and will spend this money to do this. And if that helps the team as well, I think that's good. It's just about trying to find ways to navigate this new space for Georgia so we can stay competitive. Again, we've talked about how Kirby's never going to be like Texas, like USC, like Miami, the way they're going to throw money. But he does love winning football games. And I think this gives him an opportunity to even the playing field a little bit without kind of giving up his ethos in the space. You know what I'm saying? Just allow some more revenue to be provided to build the best team and then allow him to coach the best players. We can't keep losing the top talented players in the country because we're not willing to spend as much as those guys are. So I think this is an effort to even the playing field just a bit, and I hope it's successful.
Yeah, and I think it actually meets the moment pretty well because fans, especially in pro sports, kind of have this appetite for behind-the-scenes access. You think of things like Hard Knocks that's been on the rise for a while, and then you got all these Netflix documentaries for like every freaking sport. So, and Georgia has actually steered away from a lot of that because it's like this could be more of a distraction. So I think in a way it kind of sets a new chapter in Georgia football. I'm sure they're only going to do things like selectively, but I know that fans will get to view more than like yoga stretching behind the scenes and stuff like that. So it will be cool, but I think it is like a time will tell kind of thing. I probably will do like one of the memberships. I don't know if I'm trying to jump to the 150 and whatnot. And like, to me, I'd rather go spend money seeing games. Like, to get to Athens to go see a practice is cool and whatnot, but like, I'm not a football scout, like not yet. So like,
right. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm trying to do all that.
You make a good point.
Cool.
You make a good point, man. As good as this will be for the university as a whole, imagine being a player and having to deal with this. Like, I want to come play football. I don't need a camera in my butthole the whole time I'm trying to like play for I'm trying to get to the league. Like, y'all are in my face with all these cameras, you know what I mean? Like, chill out. And like, that's a little bit too invasive for me. Hopefully it's not as intimate as that. But yeah, we'll see. There's always unforeseen consequences. Hopefully there'll be good consequences. It's going to take some time to figure all that out.
Dude, I mean, I think it's just the landscape. It's the nature of the beast right now. But I think I trust Kirby to draw that fine line between like
somebody's
what
gonna
is
have to, for real,
competitive and then like what is actually just like an overall distraction. Because I think it is like we've seen how Alabama has like maybe taken it too far.
Exactly.
To the digital.
Exactly. We're not looking for reality TV. Like
Right.
Hoover High when they had that MTV show. Like, we want football, right? So
this ain't the real world. This ain't
we're not doing all that. I'm off on that. But while we're talking about football, let's go ahead and make our shift to the biggest football game in the world happening this weekend, February 8th already, Keegan, where 2026 is going to be here and gone in no time. So a lot of chaos going on in the world right now, but at least we've got the Super Bowl. These teams are about as evenly matched as you could ask for. Bad Bunny doing the halftime. Everybody talking about that. Love it or hate it. But listen, Super Bowl 60 is set. The Patriots are taking on the Seahawks. And both of these teams come in 14-3 and are both actually top 4 in scoring and defense. The New England Patriots beating the Broncos, and the Rams falling to the Seahawks. Now we have an NFC champ and an AFC champ meeting on Sunday.
Hey, this is what it's all about. I know for me, I care less and less about the commercials because they drop them early to a point where you've seen this commercial 10 times before the big reveal. So I'm sure there will be some commercials that maybe I check out after the fact, but like that to me is like what the sheeple are probably up to. Like, I'm interested in a little bit of football. I think it's kind of like per the moment for those of the conspiracy sports fans out there who think that the NFL scripts are written. The Patriots versus the Seahawks seems like the perfect like East Coast, West Coast beef, you know, to me. So
hey, it's a rematch from the Super Bowl 11 years ago as well.
Yeah.
When the Seahawks infamously didn't run the ball and Russell Wilson threw an interception to, it's not Karan Butler, but his last name was Butler, in the end zone. So, yeah, 11 years ago, man. So it's going to be trying to get their lick back.
Imagine that situation pops up again and they do it again. Seahawks fans will be in the transfer portal so quick. But yeah, I think it's cool because like these teams both got to the Super Bowl in kind of unique ways. You had the Seahawks kind of knocking on the door of being an elite team for years. They kind of had fallen off and just kind of stayed in this good but not great category. And then on the other side, the Patriots were basically dog turd last year, and now here they are in the Super Bowl. Complete turnaround. So I think if I have to make a pick, we already talked about this, but I think I'm going to stick with the Seahawks as far as a pick, just based on what I like about the team, but I could really go either way. Chito, do you have any divergence? I know we were both on the same side of it last time, but are you still Seahawks?
Yeah, I'm still Seahawks. I'm just more interested in the routes both teams took to get here, right? Like you said, the Patriots were awful. Mike Vrabel gets let go from Tennessee, comes back to the team that he played for. Drake May has an MVP caliber season. Most believe Matthew Stafford, go Dogs, is the MVP this season, and I agree. But, you know, you add a wide receiver in Stephon Diggs. This defense is really good with Christian Gonzalez back there in the secondary. Meanwhile, the Seahawks, Mike McDonald, coach from UGA, alum here, builds a defense after leaving the Ravens, I want to say it is. They have one of the best defenses in the league this year. Sam Darnold, who was cast off from the Jets, from the Vikings. They let go of Geno Smith and signed Sam Darnold. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been one of the best wide receivers in the NFL all season. Kenneth Walker, when he's not getting vulture touchdowns from Charbonnet. It looks to me like the Seahawks are the better team, but both are actually really compelling stories. There's no Patrick Mahomes. There's no Jalen Hurts. There's no any of the AFC guys, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, none of that. So I'm actually kind of refreshed to see these two teams back in. I don't hate Boston or New England the way, you know, a lot of Falcons fans do and over that, but like I think it's a good matchup and I'm really excited to see it.
Hell yeah. It's going to be a good one, bro. My thing about the Super Bowl, Cheeto, is that hopefully it's just a competitive, good game. There's been so many Super Bowls that by halftime you're like, this is a bore.
That's all I'm asking for, man. I'm not a big Bad Bunny fan, but want to see him perform. I know a couple of his songs just through, you know, audio reels and whatnot. So be tuning into that. And then the food, like you said, give me some buffalo dip, some chips, some wings or something like that. Man, I'll be a happy camper.
Hey, great minds think alike because I've been thinking of buffalo dip all week too. So it's going to be fire.
Okay, so we are both, Keegan, you're going Seahawks. I'm going Seahawks. We won't fiddle around with the score. We'll leave it right there. And officially, that will be the end of all football season until we start creeping up on spring. So, again, tap in with us. Georgia football is still going. All this news being brought to you. We may do a post-Super Bowl podcast coming up next week. So, make sure you guys tap in with us. Keegan, always a blast. Dog Nation, appreciate you guys sticking around. Make sure that you watch us wherever you get your podcasts. Check out our YouTube video as well, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And as always, guys, you know what it is.
Off the leash.
Off the leash.